Welcome into the Throwback Thursday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. Producer Mark pushing all the buttons, sliding all the slides, and having issues, he says here in the chat. But that's all right. It's Thursday. We're going to work it out. It's going to be a fun show here for the next couple of hours as we talk local, regional, and national sports topics, and as we go from preps to pros, as we like to say around here. So, big show, Wade. Happy Thursday.
Yeah, good to be with you, Mo. Good to see everybody. You're right. We got a big old show lined up. We got a big old Thursday night lined up. Kind of a warm up for what's to come over the next couple of days here. Busy weekend as we rip and run here. Yeah, pumped for these next couple hours with everybody on Main Street Sports Today.
It is a busy weekend. It's going to get busy tonight in particular because apparently, I don't know if folks need to be building arcs or what, but apparently there is some weather headed this way tomorrow that has wrought, wreaked havoc on the opening week of the high school football playoff schedule. So we will be talking about that here as the show progresses, particularly in the rundown here in a few minutes. But again, big show. In the second hour, we will be joined by Nashville Christian football coach Jeff Brothers. The Eagles getting ready for defense of their Division 2A football state championship. They'll be off this coming weekend because the bracket has them with a bye, but still, big stuff going on out in the Bellevue, West Nashville area, I guess, with Jeff Brothers and his Eagles, and he will be here to talk about it around 3:20 or so. In the next segment, we'll be joined by Thomas Harding of MLB.com. Thomas covers the Colorado Rockies and has done so quite well for a pretty good while, but we are specifically going to talk to him about the 2013 to 2016 Colorado Rockies, who were managed by one Walt Weiss. You've probably heard that name on these airwaves here over the last few days because Walt Weiss is the new manager of the Atlanta Braves. And figured we'd check in with T. Harding and try to get an idea of maybe what to expect out of him in a managerial position. He's been with the Braves, been in the dugout, been on the bench as Brian Snitker's bench coach. But, you know, I'm interested in what impressions he made out there over that 4 seasons as manager. So we're going to talk to Thomas Harding here in the next segment about that and other Major League Baseball developments as well. We'll also be talking a little football, both professional and collegiate. We will talk a little hockey. The Preds get back at it tonight at Bridgestone, and some women's basketball talk coming up as well towards the end of the show. And again, it is Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today. We will be throwing it back to a recent conversation we had with Matt Brown of Extra Points, specific to some college football, some coaching changes, that kind of thing. So looking forward to that conversation revisit again at the top of the second hour. So a lot to get into here over the next couple of hours. Looking forward to doing so. Before we do, though, Wade, you and I were both off of the show on Tuesday, and I guess it's just as well because you had some celebrating to do, I understand. Happy birthday. Belated, but happy birthday.
Hey, thank you very much. Yeah, another lap around the sun, and glad to spend it in the sunshine before, like you said, Mother Nature gets involved tomorrow night.
Yeah, not going to be a whole lot of fun out there tomorrow night, but I'm not sure that we're going to need to be out there tomorrow night because so many of our games have been moved in anticipation of that nastiness. So as we say that, let's go ahead and get into yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
To the rundown we go, boys and girls. Results from last night. Got a couple of hardwood results to bring you guys up to speed on. Both were beatdowns as MTSU up in last one, and the Houston Rockets Grizzlies 124 to 109 on your Wednesday, light Wednesday night schedule in our coverage area. Some other games to get into now, games that will be played tonight, as we mentioned. Nearly half of the 96 public school games in the state of Tennessee have been moved to Thursday night. So buckle up and check your schedules. Won't need your rain jacket tonight, but if you're playing tomorrow, best of luck. Football tonight we go. Lawrence County will be on the road tonight at Ray County. That game is set for 6 o'clock Central Time over there in the Eastern Time Zone. 7 p.m. also now for Shelbyville at Antioch. Notre Dame traveling to BGA. Lawson will visit Beach. East Hamilton is at Columbia tonight. Adamsville is at East Nashville. Decatur County Riverside traveling to East Robertson. Stratford will be on the road tonight at Fairview. Tipton Rosemark will be at Friendship Christian. Giles County has already gotten into the winner's bracket, folks, thanks to a good old-fashioned forfeit. Talked about one to close the regular season last week. We talked about one to begin the postseason this week. 1-0 over Chattanooga Central. CAK is on the road tonight at Good Pasture at 7 p.m. Also at 7, Smyrna will be traveling to Green Hill, and Whitwell is at Joe Burns.
Also, and this is a odd kickoff. It's a 6:30 kick as Memphis University School comes to Montgomery Bell Academy. Eagleville is at McEwen at 7. Also at 7, East Hickman comes to Mount Pleasant. Portland is at Nolensville at 7. Cookville travels to Oakland. Pearl Cone is hosting Battle Creek. Cane Ridge is at Ravenwood. Richland taking on visiting Collinwood at 7. Also at 7, it's White House at Spring Hill. Creekwood goes to Springfield. Centennial is at Station Camp. Sycamore goes to White House Heritage. And at 7:30, Gallatin is at Black. Women's basketball, we've got this one going right now. It was an 11 o'clock start, so it's probably about done. But Fisk went down to North Alabama for a matchup. Again, that was an 11 o'clock start, starting at the top of this hour. So they are into it at the Allen Arena on the campus of Lipscomb University. University of the South women are at Lipscomb. That game is on ESPN+. At 4 o'clock, MTSU is at St. Louis. That one's also viewable on ESPN+. And at 5:30, the Welch women are at Cumberland University. On the ice, 7 o'clock puck drop. You can see it on FanDuel Sports. Philadelphia comes to the Bridgestone Arena taking on the Nashville Predators. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes your rundown. Your top story brought to you as always by the fine folks at Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. Earlier today, the Tennessee Secondary School Athletic Association, or the TSSAA, announced the semifinalists for the Tennessee Titans Mr. Football Awards. Those awards will be presented on December 9th at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. Handling the presentations will be Taylor Zarzor, the play-by-play announcer for the Tennessee Titans, and Titans interim coach Mike McCoy. It will be streamed in addition to the live presentation at the stadium. And they will whittle this list down from these 5 semifinalists in each category to 3. That announcement will take place on Tuesday, November 25th. So we've got 5 semifinalists in each class right now. Starting in Class 1A, your semifinalists are Cole Brown from McKenzie, Jamichael Buckner, and Dayon Cooper from South Pittsburgh, Jaden Bunch from Coalfield, and Luke DiPietro from Dresden. So all from East and West Tennessee. Midstate got shut out in Class 1A on that one. In Class 2A, you've got Zach Groves from East Robertson, Andrew Johnson from Fairleigh, Jaden Pete from Milan, Drew Ray from Lewis County, and Kason Young from East Robertson. So in both 1A and 2A, you've got teammates as semifinalists, Buckner and Cooper in South Pittsburgh, Groves and Young for East Robertson, and also Drew Ray from over at Lewis County and Hohenwald are among your semifinalists there. Wade, I don't know if you've had a chance to see either of the East Robertson kids or what, but obviously Groves is a D1 commit, I believe, and East Robertson is playing really well right now. Obviously, all these guys are in the playoffs, so
Absolutely. Yeah, and you mentioned Groves in particular. He had 3 sacks in the game that we broadcast last week on Thursday Night Football. Just a man amongst boys. Oh, yeah, I forgot he had 3 touchdowns as well. So he can do it a little bit of all, but he may not be the most impactful player that they have, because Kason Young is a real maestro back there at quarterback. So it's going to be tough to see anybody. I know you're familiar, and you Drew Ray is kind of your boy there down there in the mid-state, covering him a lot. So he's got a tough road ahead, because it's going to be tough. The only thing you can maybe say is maybe they'll siphon some votes from one another. Same situation there in South Pittsburgh, too. They've got a great team yet again, and 2 elite players kind of toting the load there. But I'm here to tell you, Cole Brown, there's no way he can't be better than he was last year, but seeing him last year and the things he was able to do on a really talented McKenzie team, no surprise that they're going to be another contender in the 1A playoff scene again this year. Healthy list, great list. You know, it'd been nice to see a little Middle Tennessee rep in the 1A ranks, but, you know, you got to tip your cap to those that did get nominated, all worthy candidates.
Absolutely. In Class 3A, your semifinalists, Marquise Gardner from Chattanooga Prep, Thomas Hefner from Melrose, Braden Maples from Gatlinburg Pittman. Have not seen this kid, but heard a lot of great things about him. Sophomore from Chapel Hill. Quincy Mitchell over at Forest. It feels like, though, Wade, that the line is going to form behind Westview quarterback Graham Simpson.
You would think, right? I mean, Simpson, his numbers, it's benefit of both worlds, right? He only leads a couple of guys, including Giles County quarterback Xavier Randolph, by about 300 yards passing on the year, but his numbers are eye-popping. Touchdown to interception ratio, 21 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. And obviously Westview is a team that will be heard from when we talk about at least the semifinals, it feels like, in 3A football. So a healthy list. Quincy Mitchell, one of the best running backs in the state. And I mean, you know, hey, time will come, young man. If he can produce that the next 2 years like he has this year, you get the feeling. If it's at Forest, of course, but even if it's not at Forest, if it's at a different school, you get the feeling he would still be in line to maybe get his individual accolades down the road.
Without question. In 4A, another set of teammates from Greenville, you've got Zayden Anderson and Caden Ball. Zayden and Caden, I'm sure folks have a lot of fun with that one up in East Tennessee. The 2 Green Devils are among your semifinalists in Class 4A. Also, Bronsden Chaffin from Upperman. And you talk about men among boys. I've not seen him. Well, I've only seen him briefly in football. I've seen him on the basketball court, though. And this kid is something special just in terms of athleticism. Jermaine Cobbins at Springfield, and then Thomas Manu from Alcoa are your Class 4A semifinalists. And Cobbins is a guy who is on the rise for sure as well. And Chafin, with the success that Upperman has had over the last little bit, he's got to be in that finalist mix and then some, you would think.
Absolutely. And, you know, Alcoa, it feels weird seeing them with only 1 player on the list. You know, for so many years, you've seen 2 or even 3 from Alcoa at the 3A ranks. But this will be a fiercely contested, you know, we're talking about last year's Mr. Football, Tyler Thompson from Marshall County, not even on the finalist list here. That tells you how loaded 4A football is, right?
That's crazy. Yeah. In 5A, Kirkwood lineman Kamari Blair, Jaden Haywood, who's East Hamilton Hurricanes, come to Columbia Central later tonight. Caden Long from Knoxville Central, Cooper Newman from Sevier County, defending Class 5A state champion Sevier County, and Tay Starks from Munford are your semifinalists.
5A football feels like it produces some of the most high-end talent. I got nothing to back this up on other than anecdotally, but it feels like some of the most elite and high-end talent comes from the 5A ranks in Tennessee. So whoever wins this award will have earned it, and whoever wins this award is going to be a really, really explosive name to watch at the next level, whether that's this year or in future years.
You talk about explosive. Your 6A semifinalist, Antioch Super Junior, Andre Adams, Maryville's Will Jones, Southwind's Kelvin Perkins, and another set of teammates, Craig Tutt and Joel Wyatt from Oakland. Joel Wyatt, who was playing at the Webb School of Bell Buckle a year ago. Now a Mr. Football semifinalist in Class 6A for the Oakland Patriots.
Game translated nicely, it seems like, and Oakland's going to be heard from, as I mentioned, with some of these other teams. We're talking about elite players. We're also talking about some elite coaching staffs and elite teams as well.
Absolutely. Speaking of D2A, Sean Burkhofer from Providence Christian, Nix Fullen from Tipton Rosemark, Jackson Pugh from University School of Jackson, and again, teammates. We'll be talking to their coach, Jeff Brothers, here in the second hour. Jared Curtis from Nashville Christian and TJ Ward from Nashville Christian. Ward is a TCU commit. Jared Curtis, of course, is a Georgia commit. And this probably won't be the last we hear about them in this award consideration. So,
no, you wouldn't think so. That's another one. I mean, when you get into the Division II ranks, we're talking some really, really explosive players. We're talking some really, really explosive teams. It will be fun no matter how the individual award shakes out. You know, some of these are going to go head to head, if not this week, coming up in the next couple of weeks for sure.
For sure. D2AA, Knoxville Grace's Jace Ballard, Jace Ballard from Knoxville Christian is a semifinalist, as is Boyd Buchanan's David Green Jr., Lausanne's TJ Jenkins, Battleground Academy quarterback and Columbia University commit Caden Marable, and Knoxville Webb's Shavar Young. Got a chance to see Marable in the state finals last year against CPA, and that kid's something special. Whether he wins this thing or not, he's going to go on and do some great things at the next level. Looking forward to that.
41 touchdowns, 3 interceptions on Caden Marable. He's thrown for almost 3,000. He's going to easily go over 3,000 here in the next game, you would imagine. Yeah, 41 TDs, 3 interceptions. That's
not a bad ratio. Especially at the high school level. Division II Class 3A, you've got Kayshawn Bowman, from Brentwood Academy. Baylor's got a pair of teammates, Briggs Cherry and David Gabriel Georges. Tyreek King from Knoxville Catholic and Hudson Tucker from Briarcrest are your semifinalists again in D2 AAA. Your kicker of the year, Brentwood Academy's Tommy Balchero, Notre Dame's Owen Maddox, Oak Ridge's Eli Pearson, Lincoln Phillips from Chester County, and Michael Van Pelt from Gibbs are your kicker of the year semifinalists. So again, each of these will be whittled down to 3 finalists. They will be announced on November 25th. That's on a Tuesday here in about 3 weeks. And each of the finalists will come to Nissan Stadium for the December 9th presentation of these awards. And so congrats to the semifinalists and best of luck to you guys. Richly deserved honor just to be a semifinalist, man, because again, as Wade mentioned, there's a guy that won it last year in 4A who isn't one this year. Just kind of speaks to how competitive this award is and the level of football that we're seeing played from one end of this state to the other across all classes.
No doubt. It is grueling to get through the regular season. It's impressive to see these numbers, and all of them have kind of bigger goals in mind, but this is a moment to kind of celebrate that individual achievement.
Without a doubt. Let's take a break here as we continue Throwback Thursday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we'll be joined by Thomas Harding of MLB.com, talking little MLB. Stick around.
just got closer. All new Sportsbook, the latest gaming machines, live horse racing, and more. The Mid-Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
Winning just got closer.
This holiday season, the largest lantern festival in the country returns to Nashville Zoo. Experience more than 1,000 all-new handcrafted lanterns, towering creatures, magical worlds, and a North Pole village. At the center of it all, the Smashville Ice Rink. Welcome back to Zoolumination at Nashville Zoo. Bigger, brighter, and better than ever.
Busy bee, yeah, busy bee. If you need
Hold on, y'all, hold on. I need to make a call. Hey, this is Brianna with Busy Bee. I'm giving you a call to let you know your technician is on his way.
833.
Busy bee. Guys, not yet. Not yet.
Busy bee, oh,
Now
busy
I'm ready,
bee.
guys.
Call 775-7833.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Welcome back in to Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. Joining us now from Denver for MLB.com, it is Thomas Harding. Has covered the Colorado Rockies for how long? Can't hear you. Hey, you're muted. Mark, can we hear Thomas? I can't.
I can see him, but not hear him.
Yeah, I can certainly see him, and I can see his mouth moving, but I can't hear him. Thomas, you're muted. Yeah. And that's unfortunate because I know he's saying some great stuff.
I see the wheels turning, though.
Mm-hmm. I can almost smell the smoke. T, you must be muted on your laptop some kind of way. I don't know, but Okay, let's do this, Thomas. Let's bounce out and let's come back in and see if that corrects it. Kind of a turn it off and turn it back on thing. Because he's going to be great when we do get him. So looking forward to that. But as we mentioned, Thomas has covered the Colorado Rockies for an extensive period of time, and included in that was Walt Weiss's managerial tenure with the Colorado Rockies. Walt Weiss, who is now the successor to Brian Snitker as manager of the Atlanta Braves. And, you know, I'm sure it's been talked about. I know David is, if it's possible, David is a bigger Atlanta Braves fan than I am. So I know that he and Calvin have talked about this hiring. But I just wanted to get some thoughts from Thomas from the standpoint that, you know, things didn't go real well for Weiss in Colorado. And from that standpoint, you know, I think that there is certainly a faction of Braves fans that aren't necessarily really excited about this hiring. So hopefully Thomas can give us some reason to be excited. T, are you there? Thomas? Still.
Afraid not, Thomas.
Yeah, that's not good. Not good. Mark, I got nothing. This is a you thing, man. Thomas says he's going to try it on his phone rather than his laptop. So hopefully that will be the secret sauce there. Again, Walt Weiss named earlier this week as the new manager of the Atlanta Braves. He will replace Brian Snitker. And in his previous managerial role, again from 2013 to 2016, he compiled a 283 and 365 record with the Rockies. That's, for quick math, about 80 games under 500. That's not what the Braves are looking for. In fact, I saw something here over the last day or so. The Braves have the second best odds of any National League team. As badly as 2025 went, Vegas has them as the number 2 favorite to reach the World Series out of the National League in 2026. So no pressure, Walt.
Yeah, stepping in, 437 career winning percentage, but something maybe to be said for, hey, last season's kind of a season from hell. Maybe, why shake things up too dramatically? I'm not real sure what the internal dialogue was there. That's for you and David to kind of bring us up to speed on. But yeah, on its surface, it does not exactly seem like the most sexy of hires, to say the least.
It's not very inspirational at all. So I mean, from that standpoint, I think it was a little disappointing to, certainly to this fan. It wasn't what I expected. I mean, I was starting to get my head wrapped around the bench coach from the LA Dodgers, Danny Lehman. I had really kind of hoped for David Ross, but doesn't seem like he got nearly the traction that you would have expected as an ex-Brave and a guy from, the southern part of the country, kind of thing. 90. I think we've got audio. T, can you hear us?
All right, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
As the
Can hear
commercial
you.
says, I can hear you now.
Mark, does he need to turn his camera 90 degrees or what? Yeah. Turn your phone 90. There we go.
All right, I'm just having a hard time seeing what I'm seeing, but listen, let's do it.
There we go. Well, we're all right. We're all right. Tilt it just a little bit more so it doesn't cut your head off. There.
There we go.
Stop.
Yeah, I'm not even getting the full screen. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We got it here.
There we go,
welcome in.
man. Appreciate you. Yeah, thanks for sticking with us. What was your reaction when you heard that Walt Weiss was getting the gig in Atlanta?
Well, actually, I thought he was going to get the gig all along, to be honest with you. This is a guy, and it is funny, and I know I've talked to Walt about this before. The strange thing is, it's hard for guys to get their second opportunity, and a lot of guys are better in their second opportunity. And I think in a situation like the Atlanta Braves, he's getting that second opportunity in a much better organization or one that's set up to win. That's what a lot of people don't get. They usually go to, and I've talked to a number of managers, they go to an organization that has struggled, and then their next opportunity doesn't come. A lot of guys get that second opportunity, like say if they're hired by a team that was in the playoffs the year before. So I kind of expected this to happen, just knowing the way that the Braves operate. And I go back to was it 2019? I'm not good with years. Was it 19 when they won the World Series? Is that right?
No, it's 21.
21. Okay. Before it was post-pandemic. How about that? That particular year, and I was kind of privy to some of what went on from talking to people in Atlanta, the way that the front office and the coaching staff and Brian Snitker at the time all worked together to kind of bring things together. And I'm talking about they had a really good analytics team that actually went to the coaches. General manager went to the coaches. Hey, what do you need? All throughout the staff, and all of those moves that looked like the team was kind of punting the season. They were exactly what the team asked for. I just thought that Walt Weiss could fit in there. He could change some of the dynamic that's within the clubhouse because things get stale with the same manager. But I think that this was a good move for Walt Weiss.
Well, Yeah, I kind of wish you had told me that so that it wouldn't have caught me so off guard because I really felt like they needed to go outside of the organization and maybe get a different voice and that kind of thing. It feels convince me why Walt Weiss isn't Snitker 2.0.
Okay, well, my understanding is that they are different personalities that worked together. In other words, Walt was a little bit more intense as far as the dealings with the players and some of the things like that. More of the disciplinarian, kind of the bad cop to the good cop there. And Walt Weiss does have his own ideas of managing. I mean, and there are things that I think he's learned over the years also because the Rockies, let's face it, they weren't the most technologically advanced team at the time. But being with the Braves when they were good, I'm talking about being with the Braves and understanding how that particular part of the game works, I think that it probably made him better for this opportunity.
Thomas, you mentioned tech and you mentioned analytics a couple different times. I'm also curious, what other than maybe that kind of experience or at least openness, what's the selling point of Walt Weiss to any franchise really as a manager, but especially obviously now with the Braves?
Well, I think the first thing that is being totally ignored in the game today was what I talked about before. The fact that he has done this job and there is a lot less of the newness to it. I mean, I'm looking around, I'm seeing a lot of people being hired for their first opportunity. And a lot of very inexperienced people being hired for their first opportunity. I thought that was the case with David Ross in Chicago. But let's look at a guy like Dave Roberts in Los Angeles, okay? He had been on some of the San Diego staffs, and he was very close to being a manager, had been interviewed and hadn't gotten the job a few times. I think some of those things can make you better, especially if you're with a team that maybe has struggled and has a chance to win. I think that not having to deal with the newness of the manager makes a difference.
Thomas Harding from MLB joining us here on Main Street Sports today. And Thomas, that was one thing that I had said when this job opened up, that I felt like the Braves and the Braves situation warranted someone with managerial experience rather than someone, who was going to be coming in on training wheels, so to speak. So from that standpoint, they did kind of hit the target with someone who has been in that.
Actually working some stories now, so that's what's going on.
Oh, goodness. Well, we appreciate you taking some time then, and we'll try not to keep you for too long. But, they did kind of hit that target just in terms of getting someone that this won't be their first rodeo. And to the point that you made, a lot of folks are better their second time around, especially when the dynamic changes in the organization. Colorado wasn't great, I don't guess, to be fair, when Weiss got that job.
Well, not only that, it wasn't just that they weren't great, but they were going through some experimental front office things. Like Dan O'Dowd was the official general manager, but during the season, Bill Guyvette ran the team. Guyvette ran the team from an office in the clubhouse right where the manager was. There were a lot of things going on. They had been one of the first teams to experiment with an opener type situation. They had this paired pitching plan. This was before Walt took the job. But what happened was they would have a starter go 75 pitches and schedule that and schedule the guy behind him. So they were doing a lot of stuff. So Walt's been through some crazy stuff. I think he's been through what happened in Atlanta, where you had a lot of younger players that improved, that struck out early in their careers, then didn't strike out when they won the World Series. Now, they have lost some of the magic there. I do think Walt is a different guy from Snitker, and that's the reason why Snitker hired him. So Walt will probably end up hiring a bench coach who will be different from him, and that's kind of the way it works. So I don't think this is that bad a move. I think that this is now, I will say this, moves like this don't play great publicly, because when a team struggles, everybody wants someone from the outside to come in and, change all the furniture and clean house, so to speak. But I look at that roster and I think it's a roster that can win. And you've got to make a decision on a roster like that. Do you need to totally shake up everything, or do you need to make tweaks here and there and get that roster performing the way that it should be performing?
And to your point, apparently you're not the only one that feels that way. Again, we were mentioning while we were trying to get you on, I think the Braves have the second best odds of any team in the National League to get to the World Series in 2026. So a lot of people feel the way you do, apparently, certainly in Vegas, in terms of this team's ability to be competitive with the roster that they've got in place.
Well, you look at the Toronto Blue Jays that finished last year, and they're in the World Series, and a couple of bad pitches and a couple of bad base running moves. If not for those, they'd be the champions of the world right now. And I always look at teams like this. Do they overreact to what happened? Do they underreact to what happened? So there will be some people who believe that the Braves have underreacted by hiring Walt Weiss, promoting him from bench coach. But we'll see if, in fact, this was the right reaction.
Thomas, you mentioned the roster. I'm curious, with Weiss's kind of managerial style, are there any immediate, hey, bank on this getting changed or bank on this guy having a different role? Anything that immediately kind of jumped out to you, or is it still too early to tell?
It's too early to tell with me. I mean, because a lot of what happened and a lot of what happened that worked, he was a part of what worked. And I think that some of it will be maybe motivating some players. Some of it may be changing his lineup a little bit. I know that when he was here, and that's the thing about Colorado. When he was here, he left right before they got good. He had conflicts, frankly, with the general manager, Jeff Bridich. But on his way out the door, he told me, listen, the pitching is where it needs to be. He left after the 2016 season. In 2017 and 18, the Rockies were in the postseason. So he definitely knows personnel very well. He definitely can step in if there is, say, an issue where there's an unhappy player, or say a player doesn't run out a ground ball. I remember there was one where Nolan Arenado, who had become a superstar, he hits a line drive off the pitcher's leg, but Nolan had this habit when he had a bad at-bat or an at-bat that he didn't like, he would just kind of frustratedly slam his bat down and kind of jog up the line. It's something that a lot of star players do. That happened. Walt pulled him immediately out of the game, and I think it earned him a lot of points in the clubhouse. And that's my understanding, that that's the type of guy that he is. That if there is a problem in that clubhouse, he will handle it. Now, he's not one of these crazy disciplinarian guys. I mean, he's a pretty fun-loving fellow, to tell you the truth. I think that even in the Bobby Cox days, he said that one thing he wished the Braves would have done more at that time was have a little bit more fun in the clubhouse. So we'll see exactly how that all works out when Walt's in the dugout.
Interesting stuff. One of the things that I saw, Thomas, one of the reactions or one of the analyses that I've seen over this is that Weiss is a former player who's had success. You know, he's played in World Series. Has he won a championship as a player? I don't remember off the top of my head.
I believe he did win
with
one,
Oakland.
With Oakland, yes.
Okay, so that's a feather in his cap, just from a standpoint of being able to deal with guys who have expectations, I guess.
Well, that is true. And it's funny because I know that when he left Colorado, he was hung with that thing that, well, he doesn't really believe in analytics. And that's not true. And I know he and I have talked about this a number of times before and since. It's that what you've got to do, and if you look at those 2021 Braves, you've got to meld what they call the theoretical world with the actual world of the players. And I think that was one of the things that he really developed in when he was in Atlanta. And that's why when he was in Atlanta as the bench coach under Brian Snitker. So that's why I give him a chance of some success in this job.
San Diego named former Padres reliever, Craig Stammen, as their new manager earlier today after apparently they had gotten pretty deep with Albert Pujols. You know, had you heard that name at all? Were you surprised that was the way that played out?
I had not heard that name. It's a surprise, but the guy involved, I could see that what a lot of teams are looking at are former players that have come up in this information age that are stepping in, that are pretty close to the age of the players that are here. I don't know how well it works. I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't know how well it works. What would you rather have? Would you rather have that former player who is 3 years off the field and hasn't coached or managed? Or would you rather have Dave Roberts? Or would you rather have somebody that's managed through the minors on his way up? I'm not sure. I guess we'll see how this works.
Or would you rather have a guy who's never managed in professional baseball at all, but has won a College World Series?
No, that's right. Yeah. I mean, I guess we're going to see. But look at the general manager who was really freshly off the field, and he became the general manager of that team. I know that baseball is. It seems like baseball's trying to send the message that it's a young man's sport, but do young men win at the level that you want them to win? We'll see.
We will see. Meanwhile, with San Diego naming a manager, Thomas, your Rockies are the last team in this musical chairs for the 25 off season. Any indication of when y'all are going to do something?
Well, this team's got to name a general manager. So that's what we're working for. We're looking at here as a media here. I know there were a couple of candidates that were identified by The Athletic as finalists. I'm not sure that they actually were finalists, and neither of those guys are going to get this job. So when I get off the phone here, I'll be making phone calls about that. They've been pretty quiet about it. I know they interviewed their former player, Adam Ottavino, a couple of days ago. Nobody believes that he is going to be the guy to run the baseball operation. What you would like to see is someone come in here and change everything from top to bottom. We're talking about a team that when I talk about analytics, and I guess the proper word is information. Just they don't have enough of it. They don't have enough people working it. And when you look at some other organizations where maybe they are really good technically, what happens is more information gets to the coaches and players faster. And that's all it is. It's not trying to come up with some sort of alchemy where, where you keep shuffling players and you shuffle your lineup and boom, you're going to win games. A lot of times it's just old-fashioned coaching, but maybe it happens quicker. Maybe it happens more efficiently.
There we go. Thomas Harding of MLB.com joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Apparently, we have caught him on a news day. So, Thomas, we're going to let you go, man.
Well, let's hope for news because, I've had a lot of days where it's make a bunch of phone calls and you really don't have a story.
Understood. Good luck. We appreciate you taking some time. We'll catch up with you.
Hey, thanks, man.
Thank you,
All
Thomas.
right. Let's take a break here as we continue on the Throwback Thursday edition of Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we'll talk a little football. Stick around.
Columbia Power and Water Systems is dedicated to bringing our customers reliable, local service. Whether you're turning on a light switch, your faucet, or streaming on TV, our dedicated team members from here in Murray County work every day to keep you on. If you need us, call us 931-388-4833 or visit cpws.com. CPWS, local service, local support.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. It's pretty tragic news coming out of Dallas today as young defensive lineman Marshawn Nealand apparently died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound early this morning in the Dallas area. Not real clear on exactly what took place, but there was a car chase involved, it seems like, and details are kind of sketchy, but former Western Michigan defensive lineman Marshawn Neeland, again in his second year with the Cowboys, has died at the age of 24.
Tragic news, obviously, and man, crazy turn of events, right? Because this is a guy that recovered the punt in the end zone on Monday for the touchdown, and then we're discussing this. I mean, it is just kind of a big whoa moment is really what this story kind of amounts to. And man, we're getting the details, and it feels like the details have kind of changed as the day has gone on. But it is a sad situation, not just for him, obviously, his family, obviously, but the NFL community at large. This is kind of the bad side of things right now, unfortunately.
Played in 7 of 9 games thus far, recorded his first sack, and as you mentioned, his first touchdown of his career this year. The touchdown again Monday night, like you said. Were called to locate a vehicle that evaded police after a pursuit. Located the crashed vehicle. According to this report on Yahoo Sports, Neeland fled the scene on foot and was found at about 1:30, deceased with what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So it's over this kind of thing, and like you said, your thoughts are with obviously his family, with the Cowboys, with the pro football community. It's just kind of hard to wrap your head around something like this with such a young guy who's got something going in that kind of thing. It's just tragic.
Really is. First active player to pass away during the season since 2018. A Colts linebacker was struck by a car and killed Edwin Jackson that year. But also the Cowboys had a linebacker, Jerry Brown, who died in an accident as a member of their practice squad in 2012. So it really doesn't make it any more or less sad. But, man, it really is just jarring when you think about an active player, again, who just had an epic performance on Monday. And then we're talking on Thursday about his passing.
Yeah. And, you've seen a lot of messages on social media and that kind of thing from the NFL community, from NFL active players. Jeff Simmons with a tweet. One of the Philadelphia Eagles tweeted something, and it sounds cliche, but, find somebody to talk to, man. This isn't just football related either. There's a national mental health hotline, 988. Reach out. Sometimes you just need to talk to somebody, all of us. So don't be afraid to do that, because it's tough on the folks that get left behind when things like this happen as well. And nobody wants to deal with this. So it's unfortunate. I hate to be talking about it, but at the same time, it's important to talk about it, I guess. Less important stuff. The Tennessee Titans claimed former Seahawks safety Jarek Reed off of waivers yesterday. Reed was a 2023 Pro Football Writers Association all-rookie team selection after Seattle took him in the 6th round in 2023 out of New Mexico. He played in 10 games that year. He's played in 19 games over 3 seasons. And when you look at this defensive secondary, bodies are what they need.
Yeah, just got to have some folks to help fill out the roster at this point and just staying active, staying healthy, keep any reps that you get from this guy of any consequence will be appreciated, because things have been grim, obviously, and then the defense is holding up as much as it can, but more often than not, they're finding themselves backs against the wall. So you're kind of not really hoping to see a ton out of this guy, but if you are and you're pleasantly surprised, you'll chalk that up to a shrewd bit of business and a nice pickup here.
Yeah, without, I mean, you're just trying to find something, throwing enough stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks at this point. I mean, you're 1-8 going into the bye week this week. Maybe you can get him in here and get him coached up a little bit, and maybe he can help the rest of the way. I mean, as I keep asking folks when we get experts on to talk about this team, I'm not even sure what you're looking for. You're 1-8. It's not like this team is going to make the playoffs. They're not going to make a push when they come back from the bye. They are arguably the worst team in the league. There's no way around it. But you got to try to find something out of this season. Maybe you can find some guys off the street that can give you something going forward. I don't know. There's a reason they're on the street, though, right, Wade?
Yeah, and like I said, he'll be behind. Hopefully you get Xavier Woods back as soon as you possibly can, because he was having a pretty strong start in the defensive backfield there for your team. And Quandre Diggs had played pretty well too. So maybe you don't see this guy, but if Woods is out beyond the game coming out of the bye week, maybe you see some reps. But yeah, you're just kind of going about the business and making sure that everybody. You just got to have enough healthy bodies to kind of fill out the rest of the remainder of your season here.
Yeah. Some good news for the Titans. Bud Adams is among 9 semifinalists being considered for the 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame class in the contributor category. He, along with Rune Arledge, Ralph Hay, Frank Bucko Kilroy, Robert Kraft, Art Rooney Jr., Clark Shaughnessy, Seymour Siwoff, and Buddy Young are your 9 contributor semifinalists. Most of us are well aware, obviously, Bud Adams founded the Houston Oilers, helped found the American Football League, and was instrumental in, obviously everything that this franchise has done, including the move to Tennessee. So, in 2013, in an interview with, I'm sure, Jim Wide of the Tennessean, besides the playoffs, one thing I would like to accomplish is to be considered in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I realize there may be some hard feelings about me moving the team to Nashville, but I truly feel my body of work. I don't like tooting my own horn, but at my age and now being the senior NFL owner, there is no one from back in those days that can really speak up for me now. So, it would be fitting, I think. Again, he and Lamar Hunt formed the American Football League, and it kind of feels like that in and of itself would be enough to get the guy into the Hall of Fame. So.
Yeah, and we saw him on this list last year too, so maybe a little extra juice behind the campaign for Bud this year, hopefully.
Yeah. Let's see. From here, they will meet again on November 11th. What's that? That's Tuesday. To select one finalist. So we should have some news on this midweek next week as to what happens next with Mr. Adams on that. Thursday night football tonight, big AFC West showdown. Well, I don't know how big it is. The Raiders travel to Denver. Yeah, Vegas 2-6, Denver 7-2. It's a 7:15 kickoff. You can see it on Amazon Prime. Raiders lost a tough one in overtime over the weekend. Denver played did Denver win? I remember the score was 18-15, but I can't remember who they played or how they did.
Yeah, Texans gave it to them.
There we go.
Should have went to overtime and got a little greedy, did the Texans. D'Amico Ryans took the L right there at the end.
Okay. Chance to see Bo Nix again, one of the top young guns in the league. So, again, Thursday night football tonight on Amazon Prime, AFC West matchup. We've got the FCS National Championship coming to First Bank Stadium on the Vanderbilt campus in January. The FCS playoff committee put out their second top 10 rankings a couple of days ago, and Tennessee Tech is up 3 spots from number 7 to number 10. The Golden Eagles are 9-0. As an MTSU graduate, it's tough to say, but it would really be nice to have a local representative in this championship ball game when it comes to Nashville in January. I don't know if Tech is capable of it or not, but it's tough to think again at 9-0 that they're not. The 6 teams ahead of them: North Dakota State, Montana State, Montana, Lehigh, Tarleton State, and South Dakota State. So again, Tennessee Tech playing some really good ball right now.
Yeah, and you get the feeling, though, they need to keep the mojo that they got going, because they've not gotten any favors from these rankings and from the committee, because Montana, they're the reason producer Mark's popped a graphic up here. There's a reason Montana's third behind a 7-2 Montana State team, and it's because the strength of schedule has been very, very poor for Montana, for the Grizz there. So Tennessee Tech kind of benefits from that too. They opened the year with a game versus Cumberland, which we talked about on this show, was nice and cool and local rivalry and all that. Doesn't do you any favors with the selection committee. So
None.
Tech just needs to keep winning if they want to stay in good graces with everybody. But very cool to see thus far.
It really is. And, I think that Scott Ramsey and the folks with the Nashville Sports Council and that kind of thing are really keeping a close eye on Tech. This thing is going to draw regardless, especially if North Dakota State is in it. We talked to one of their journalists from up in that area earlier in the year, and they are kind of looking to make this Fargo South or Fargo Southeast after having been in Frisco for such a long period of time. But I just think it would be really cool if some kind of way Tennessee Tech could get there. Got a lot going on over in Cookeville. We had Casey Fox, their new AD, on a few weeks ago. They are obviously headed from the Ohio Valley Conference to the Southern Conference next year, and I imagine they'd like to take some hardware out the door with them as they go. So certainly something to keep an eye on here over the next few weeks.
And shout out to Lehigh, the Mountain Hawks. We had Scott Simfelter on the show a couple weeks ago. Is Mountain Hawks sitting there nice and pretty. They could end up at home field throughout this thing with that 9-0 record.
Yeah, I'm sure Scott would be excited about that as well. The Grace Christian offensive coordinator. Yeah. Let's take a break here as we wrap up hour number 1 of Throwback Thursday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we will throw it back to a recent conversation we had with Matt Brown of Extra Points, talking a little college business. Stick around. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
Is your internet slowing you down? It's time for an upgrade. Whether you're at home, working from your home office, or at your business, it's time to unleash the speed you need with speeds up to 1 gig at CPWS for as low as $70 a month. Give us a call, 931-375-7777. Local service, local support, CPWS.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Joining us now from extrapointsmb.com, it is MB, Matt Brown. Man, and we are definitely connoisseurs of backgrounds, and I'm sure we've said it before, but I love yours. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks, fellas. Appreciate your flexibility here, and it's great to be back.
Oh, no, man. We appreciate you taking some time. There's been so much going on across the college athletics landscape, and some of it football, some of it off the field. But I've wanted to get a hold of you for a minute, Matt. And since I initially wanted you on this topic, the topic has kind of changed somewhat. What is the future of the Ohio Valley Conference?
Man, this is a really good question. And when
Thank you.
I wish I had a great radio answer, because even before the commissioner decided to resign last week, in part due to health challenges in her family, I was hearing from ADs and administrators at campuses throughout that league that there were some real challenges in trying to keep everybody together. Part of that is you have some schools that have recently reclassified from Division II and have smaller budgets than maybe some other institutions, and you have a few schools, particularly here in my home state of Illinois, that are operating with very different financial realities than maybe some other schools. And this isn't like this. We're not saying that anybody in the OVC is like Ohio State or Texas or something. But if you're trying to maybe come up with baseline scheduling rules about how many bye games your basketball teams can play, or what kind of RPI or net rating are we all shooting for, and some schools are prepared to make that financial commitment and some aren't, that is going to cause tension and make it harder to have league unity. I think the other really big problem right now is you've had a couple of teams leave. You have two others that a lot of folks in the industry think are about to leave in Southeast Missouri here in Tech. And there's just not any easy replacement institutions. We have a moratorium on schools reclassifying from Division II into D1 right now. There's really not any that have the interest and the funds to make that transition from within the OVC's typical footprint. And the league's efforts to recruit existing Division I institutions to join have not even been close to successful. My understanding is that there's a lot of people have taken calls. Not very many people have taken second calls. So could the league continue to exist for another 4 or 5 years with 7 members? Potentially. Could a wrinkle appear somewhere that I don't know about and my sources don't know about? Unquestionably. But they're in a very challenging spot right now with 4 other FCS leagues nearby that I think would love to bolster their membership.
Yeah, to bring anybody up to speed who may not be, Tennessee Tech announced 2 or 3 months ago that they are going to the Southern Conference beginning next year, 2026-27. Tennessee Tech will be in the Southern Conference, and right now they're playing football like a Southern Conference school right now, ranked number 7 in the country in FCS. There's been rumblings that UT Martin might be doing something.
Forgive me. I said Tech when I meant Martin. UT Martin and Southeast Missouri are the two that I have heard quite a bit about contemplating a move.
Where is it the Missouri Valley? Is it this United Athletic that Austin Peay and Eastern Kentucky are in?
Yes, sir. It's the UAC is what I've been told is most likely.
Okay. And then, when you look at what's left, like you said, I mean, Lindenwood came up from D2 a few years ago. Western Illinois has kind of been in that no man's land for a little bit in your state of Illinois. But, when you talk about the traditional footprint of the Ohio Valley Conference, it's crazy if UT Martin were to leave. Tennessee State is the only team in Tennessee, or the only program in Tennessee that would be in the Ohio Valley Conference. And I mean, I know I'm dating myself when I say this, but MTSU, Austin P, Tennessee Tech, UT Martin, those were mainstays in that conference, once UT Martin came up from D2 years and years ago. And to think that Tennessee only has one, and the one thing you don't want to be, Matt, in this situation, I don't think, is you don't want to be Washington State and Oregon State when, the last team out of the OVC turn off the lights. I mean, you don't want to be that. So Tennessee State has got to be looking for something at this point, and they're only in the biggest town in the conference, right?
I have to imagine everybody is trying to do their due diligence right now. And this is kind of one of the things that fans might not always understand. But if you're a mid-major, even if you've been in your league for 50 years, 60 years, if somebody reaches out, you generally have to at least take the phone call. I'm sure there are presidents and people in the OVC that want this league to survive another 40 years. But those same people, after they give that statement, are going to go check their phone to go see if the Missouri Valley called them, right? Or the Horizon or anybody else. And you have to, because you're exactly right. You don't want to be the school with that's last in musical chairs. Now, I don't know if there's more than one institution here that would be at risk of not having a home. It might be an awkward home. It might be a home that's with schools they don't have much of a history with. But these things change all the time, right? Like you're right. I remember doing this when MTSU was in the OVC, or East Tennessee was in this league. Who knows what the next 10 years are going to bring? I would be nervous though if I was Tennessee State, if I was Southern Indiana, if I was somebody else, because the future is uncertain.
And to be realistic, Matt, the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference and the Southwestern Athletic Conference, I mean, those are the obvious, for a number of reasons, for Tennessee State. But, the devil is kind of in the details in that situation too, right?
Sure. I want to be completely honest with you, gentlemen. I will not get on this show and in this camera and profess to know the inner workings and the historical politics about why Tennessee State isn't in one of those leagues. The good Lord has not blessed me with the same amount of melanin as maybe other institutions, folks that are much closer to these schools and some of this space. And that is a story I'd love to hear from somebody else. I can understand on paper why that would make a lot of sense. I can understand why maybe the SWAC might not want to expand a little bit more. There are some folks in the HBCU universe that want to be in the best league they possibly can, whether that includes PWIs, and there are some that really want to be in an HBCU league. And I feel like I can't say what's best or what isn't for that school, only that I think that they're going to have options no matter what it is that they want to do.
And then, Matt, it feels like this kind of resulted back in the day, obviously, when the Pac-12, as you guys mentioned, kind of dissolved away, and those teams like USC and UCLA, et cetera, joined the Big Ten. You had to think, though, that there was going to be this trickle-down effect per se, and affect these FCS schools and these conferences where teams are going to start to reconsider where they were and relocating to bigger conferences or better conferences, if that makes sense.
Sure. I mean, we can go back and look just a couple years ago when Texas and Oklahoma went to the SEC, and we had a good 18 months of directly connected realignment decisions that I think you could pretty much draw a straight line all the way to the dissolution of the WAC and created the UAC. Like, that doesn't happen if Sam Houston and New Mexico State don't leave for CUSA earlier, which caused changes here, which caused changes there. We have movements at the FCS and 1AAA level that are also independent of what happens with the Pac-12 or the Big Ten or some of these leagues, because you also have schools that want to make changes because they want to better optimize their basketball net ratings, because they want to be with schools that are more likely to spend their house money at a similar level and are more aligned on what it means to compete at a high level at this point. And I think that will continue to change. It's not there's no one's getting big TV money, whether you're in the OVC or the SoCon or the Southland or the A-Sun. But that doesn't mean that there might not be compelling reasons to look at other options.
Right. Matt Brown of extrapointsmb.com. And if you're not following it, I don't know what you're doing with your life. But at any rate, Matt, if you were a fairly accomplished college football coach, would you want the Louisiana State job?
I wouldn't want it in a cycle where I could also potentially get Florida or Penn State. And shoot, who knows? In 6 weeks, Florida State might open. Some other SEC jobs might open, and it's a difficult thing because I understand why there are folks that say this is one of the very best jobs in college football. Louisiana produces so much elite talent, and they're the only big school in town. And you have the entire state that wants to support you. You have this great history. You've won multiple national championships in our lifetime. The fact that you are in a situation now where you have a governor who I think is trying to cosplay as Huey Long without everything else that came with being Huey P. Long and not really having a permanent athletic director. You're going to have a university president starting next week who's not going to be terribly entrenched. And that all creates a problem. Because if there's one thing that's really important, one of the things, I guess, that's really important to coaches and certainly to athletic directors as they think about what job they want to take, isn't just, can I get enough talent to this area? It's, who's my boss going to be? How do I know that I'm going to be supported if I go 7-5 in 1 year? Who do I go to if I need X, Y, or Z? How am I going to be judged in this role? And if you're stepping into a place where on paper your boss is one person, but in reality your boss is another person, and that boss might not know ball at all. Yeah, in a world where you have other jobs opening, I unquestionably think that that's going to hurt their candidate pool. If the second best job opening was Virginia, LSU is going to get a great ball coach because someone's going to talk themselves into getting fired and making $12 million a year. But when there's 4 or 5 of these jobs, don't be shocked if LSU decides, hey, we want John Summerall, and John Summerall goes somewhere else.
And, Matt, to kind of extend that point, if you're a guy, I mean, Lane Kiffin is the hot name of college football right now. He's going to get a pay raise regardless of where he ends up over the next couple months. Do you consider that and be like, I can make my own legacy here at Ole Miss and be the first Lane Kiffin and bring a championship here? Or do you maybe go follow in somebody's footsteps at Florida or LSU where, you're kind of chasing those goats of past, if that makes sense?
It does, and so much of this really does depend on the person. I think one of the interesting things about where college football is now compared to 5 or 6 years ago, before NIL and certainly before House, is I think you can make an argument that you could potentially win a title at more places than you did before. You don't have to go undefeated to make the college football playoff. You just have to have a certain amount of depth and a really good quarterback and really good edge rushers. And you can get that at Ole Miss. Like this idea that Ole Miss right now is this tiny little mom and pop shop without much of an operating budget and no money to pay players. I think all three of us know that's ridiculous. You're able to bring in a transfer portal class and high school classes that are not super dissimilar from what you'd be able to get at LSU or Florida. So at that point, it comes down to personal preference. And certain people are going to look at Oxford, Mississippi, Gainesville, and Baton Rouge and have different opinions about where they'd rather live. But you can win a title at all three of those places now. I'm not sure that was true in, say, 2018.
Matt Brown of extrapointsmb.com. Matt, you're kind of singing out of the same songbook that I was earlier this week. If Lane Kiffin stays in Oxford, another 5-7 years, they're putting up a statue on campus for him. If he goes to LSU or Florida, he may not be there another 5 or 7 years. I mean, that's just it's just the difference in expectations and to your point, what do you want individually? I mean, do you want and maybe you are the next Brian Kelly and you're walking away from there with $53 million at the end of it all, and that's not necessarily a bad thing either. So it's just wild to me, the whole thing as we sit here in 25, particularly where we're talking about already, it ain't even Halloween yet, and we've already got 10 coaching vacancies at the FBS level.
And we had a hiring today. We've had an extension today. There's going to, I'm sure there'll be more of those over the coming weeks. I think the other thing that's worth thinking about with all this too is fortunes can change very quickly. The idea of giving Brian Kelly a gigantic contract was seen as risky back when he was hired away from Notre Dame, but not crazy risky. Brian Kelly had won everywhere that he's been, all over the Midwest, from Division II all the way at Notre Dame for that matter. And the thought was, if you could just get some slightly better players, he would be fine. And then he wasn't, because it turns out Brian Kelly's a big jerk, and it wasn't going to fit in with the booster and donor and fan culture of that particular part of South Louisiana. I think another example to think about here is look at a guy like Luke Fickell at Wisconsin, who did nothing but win at Cincinnati, was an outstanding defensive coordinator at lots of places, had a great record of hiring coordinators himself, dragged a G5 team into the college football playoff. And on paper, it looked like that was a perfect fit between at Madison. And that team is god awful right now. And if Wisconsin had the money, they would have fired him yesterday. They don't, because they're poor. But it hasn't worked out. You can be a great coach at 2 or 3 other places. We all remember when Billy Napier was like at Louisiana. We remember what he was like at other places, and then it didn't. So all of this is to say, like, if you're this hypothetical Lane Kiffin, there's one thing we know about the Lane Kiffin story is that consistency doesn't necessarily go along with this kind of guy. And maybe you stay and they're ready to build a statue for you now. In 4 years, maybe they're throwing mustard bottles at you in Oxford instead of Tennessee, right? You never know.
To your point about Fickle in Wisconsin, though, at this point, Matt, if you are on the fence about whether you want to make a move with your coach in this cycle where you're looking at so many guys that are out there and so many jobs that are available, do you maybe hold on to your guy another year, even as you feel like, we really need to make a move, but we can't get into this pool with these sharks?
I think that's definitely happening. I think that's part of why you saw Florida State put out a statement saying, like, we're not firing anybody right now. It's part of why and NC State. Hey, there's my daughter makes a cameo here behind us.
Oh, hey, Harris.
Yeah, and NC State's making that same kind of conversation. You don't want to be the 7th or 8th most attractive gig, especially because there's not 7 or 8 really established, experienced candidates right now. I think it's pretty certain that we're going to see a name, Power 4 level job, hire a guy that's a coordinator somewhere else or someone we're not talking about right now, and that person's going to get $7.5 million. There, a lot of this is kind of a crapshoot, and I try to think about that as I do my own work, because there's lots of examples of someone that seemed like a great hire on paper not working out, and sometimes you have a guy like Dabo who looked like a total ridiculous hire when Clemson brought him on. Here's this young, wide receivers coach who doesn't know anything about X's and O's and was selling insurance not that long ago. And then he goes and wins multiple national championships. So much of this really is about fit and about alignment between administrators and donors and community and current roster. And that's a difficult thing to project.
Talking about a little bit lighter subject here, Matt. Delaware State, Norfolk State at the Link tonight. How big a deal is this?
You know what, fellas, I think this is the first time in my career, and I started doing this professionally full time in 2012. I think this is the most I've ever been aware of Delaware State football. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful or anything, because if you look at like the Sagarin ratings, this was typically one of the schools that was near the very bottom, and now they've become quite competitive. This idea of we just need to go hire a famous NFL guy can definitely fall short. We can think of a couple examples where that strategy has not worked, but it worked out great for Tennessee State and Eddie George, who I think has been pretty competent at Bowling Green. And I think there's some positive signs for both Delaware State and Norfolk. I hope they're both able to enjoy a little bit of consistency before their coaches go off to do other things.
I guess we would be remiss if, since it's gone in this direction, what are your thoughts about the situation in Boulder here over the next bit? And I guess it helps that maybe Florida State has said we're not going to make a move, but how does Dion line up for 2026? Do you think?
Honest to God, I think that the biggest question really is less about what's on the field and more about what Dion wants to do and with his health. It was one thing for us all to kind of joke last year about how this guy's not traveling anywhere for recruiting. He's just going to be here while his kids are here, and then he's going to bounce. Then he stayed. But if the man's got problems with his feet, if he's dealing with cancer, if he's got to go to the bathroom during games and everything, and he's dealing with some pretty significant things, health challenges, the most important thing is that he's healthy. And if he's able to get healthy and he and his family and everybody feels good about what he's doing, I think that he'll be able to stay at Colorado and with his own personal magnetism still produce good enough teams. This squad's obviously a step back, but I think they're a better team than they were in week 1 and 2. And their next great Buffalo quarterback is on this roster. Which one of the three it is, I'm not necessarily sure yet, but I think there's some pieces. I'm not so much worried about Dion leading for another job as I am. I don't know if he's going to want to coach another 5 years.
Matt, really quickly before we let you go, you kind of mentioned just the candidate cycle for college football and maybe having coordinators, step up to take one of these Power 4 jobs that are open. It seems like Brian Hartline at Ohio State is a name that's always been talked about. Such a great recruiter. I mean, what Ohio State might be, or it probably is, wide receiver U. Does this feel like the opportunity maybe where he finally gets one of those cracks at a job and somebody tries to land him?
Maybe. Brian Hartline's from Ohio. He graduated from Ohio State. Played at Ohio State. He bleeds Ohio State stuff. And this is his first year calling plays and serving as a coordinator. And I'll be honest, as someone that's watched a lot of Ohio State football, that's where I went to school. If there's an Achilles heel with this team or a question mark about this team, it's been with offensive consistency. This is the best defense in the country, and so the Buckeyes don't need to score more than 2 touchdowns a game to feel pretty good about where they're going. But they're not running the ball particularly well, and they're not being efficient in the red zone by any means. And look, that's okay. Hartline's a younger guy, and he's growing into that particular role. I think it would be risky to take a guy who has only been a coordinator for 1 year and whose biggest documented advantage is truly elite recruiting at one position, and say this person is absolutely ready to be a Power 4 head coach. And quite frankly, I think to be a coordinator at Ohio State's a better job than being a G5 head coach or something right now. Hartline's going to make more money than he has taken over Toledo or like Ohio next year or anything. I'm sure schools will call, and he'll probably eventually leave Columbus because I don't think Ryan Day's going anywhere unless they lose to Michigan and the Indianapolis Colts drop a gigantic bag on him or anything. But if I was a Penn State fan, I don't think I would be calling to hire Hartline for that job.
Matt Brown, again, you can find him on Twitter at Matt Brown EP. His website, extrapointsmb.com. There we go. Great stuff, just like what you just heard here over the last little bit, and then some. Matt, we appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon and look forward to getting you on again soon.
Oh, of course. Thanks for having me on, fellas.
Absolutely.
This holiday season, the largest lantern festival in the country returns to Nashville Zoo. Experience more than 1,000 all-new handcrafted lanterns, towering creatures, magical worlds, and a North Pole village. At the center of it all, the Smashville Ice Rink. Welcome back to Zoolumination at Nashville Zoo. Bigger, brighter, and better than ever.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome back into Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. It is time now for Coach's Corner, and we welcome in, fresh off the practice field at Nashville Christian, longtime Eagles football coach Jeff Brothers. Coach, thanks for taking some time with us. Nice setup there in front of the trophy case. I like it.
I appreciate it. This is some stuff in the office that we've collected over time, so it's good to got to do something with it. So you might as well show it off a little bit.
Yeah,
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yes,
you guys having me on. Appreciate that. Is that a Mississippi State hat you got on there?
No, it's a Main Street Sports Today hat. Actually, a little swag, a little branding. You know,
I don't have one of those. I don't know why, but I don't have one of those. So.
It's an oversight, Coach. It's strictly an oversight. Congratulations, first of all, on the season that you guys have had. Second of all, I'm sure that you got word out on the practice field at some point that two of your guys are among the 5 semifinalists for Division IIA Mr. Football, TJ Ward and Jared Curtis, and obviously both of them quite instrumental in the success that y'all have had to this point.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, 2 great kids, 2 amazing young men that are fun to be around, fun to coach, 2 great teammates, 2 hardworking, very talented guys that, their effort and their team attitude kind of permeates all the guys around them. And they're part of our largest ever senior class, who was a very talented senior class as well. And it's fun to watch them. One of our things is to maintain an unselfish commitment to a common goal. And even though those 2 guys are getting well-deserved accolades and opportunities to be recognized, as are some of our other seniors, they all have one heartbeat, one mission in mind, and that is to bring home another state championship. And we're going to celebrate the individual awards in time, but right now we're still working towards that common goal.
Maintain an unselfish commitment to a common goal.
Yeah.
Is that your Vanderbilt education, or did somebody else come up with that?
I started thinking about it. If you want to hear the full thing, is when a talented group of people maintain an unselfish commitment to a common goal, they can achieve great things. And that's just something we've been saying around here for a long time. And I don't know, I don't know. I just made it up.
It's got me ready to run through a brick wall, if nothing else.
Exactly. Absolutely, man. Jeff, I saw some highlights from the past weekend from the Friendship Christian game. What was more impressive? Which was the more impressive play from Jared? The 50-something yard jump pass, or the handoff after the long run that one of his teammates finished up for a touchdown? I'm not sure if it was TJ or who it was.
It was Bryson Holt. I will say, only because I've seen the 60-yard jump pass on more than one occasion, that's becoming a little more commonplace. But what I appreciate is the unselfishness. The handing off to Bryson is just sort of a picture of that group of guys and that team. Not only Jared making the play and getting the ball downfield, and then seeing Bryson. There was really somebody was chasing Jared, and so he was just like, you know what, that guy's chasing me. Let me just get it to Bryson, out on the wing a little wider. And credit to Bryson for hustling down the field on that play, because there's some people that would just say, oh, Jared's going to score, and let him go and take a minute off, and Bryson did not, as did a couple of others teammates. They're sprinting down the field full speed too, and Bryson was there because of his effort, and Jared rewarded that effort with the ball and the opportunity to go score the touchdown, and that was good to watch.
Coach, I wanted to ask you, and again, thanks for taking some time to be with us here this afternoon. I pulled up your Twitter account, and We could get back. We could get back with you on the recent activity, but you did have one post. Your most recent post, as a matter of fact, from July of 2019, where you said we got 38 young warriors that came out to hit camp this week, and you said the future is bright.
Yeah.
Some of those guys have obviously, all those guys have now gone on. But what did that group and how has your program kind of continued the message from what you saw at a scrimmage back in July of 2019?
Yeah, well, so what happened? I didn't even realize that Twitter still existed. I clearly don't do anything with social media, but I had, back in the day, they're like, oh, you got to have one, and you can celebrate your players and promote your program and your stuff. And I did that for about, I don't know, a year, and then that was too much. That's just not me. So I let it go. But it's interesting you bring up that moment. I don't know what the picture is, to be honest with you. I do know that I found a picture from 2019 of a summer camp that we were running in 2019. And it was a group of 6th and 7th grade students here at Nashville Christian School, and they were at summer football camp. And they were all standing there with myself and another one of our coaches, and they're all about to right here. Like I've got my hand on their top of their heads, and they're right. Yeah. And one of them is Jared Curtis, one of them is Bryson Holt, one of them is who else is in that picture? Yoel Campos. I mean, several of our players are. Yoel was younger, but several of our current seniors were in that picture as 6th graders and 7th graders. And I came across that a couple of weeks ago. Somebody resent that to me and said, "How about these guys?" And just to see the growth they've had and what they've become and how hard they've worked to get where they are, and to then see them back in that day, it just really reminds you of why you do this, and that's to be a part of these kids' lives that have these big dreams and want to accomplish these big things. And if you can have some sort of role in that or impact in that, it's invaluable, and it's worth more just being out there on that field and with those, what are they then, 12, 13-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Running and playing and not knowing what the future held for them. And now here we are. It's pretty nostalgic to think back. So thanks for bringing that up. I got to go back and see. I even have that Twitter still up there, but
yeah. And don't start tweeting now, because I kind of like the retro look that you've got going on there.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
I love that. And then, Coach, the other thing I wanted to ask, you navigate the rigors of a 10-game schedule, and now, this is as cliche as it gets, but you begin that second season with some success, obviously, along the way that you guys have certainly had. What have you kind of learned, and how do you modify, if any, your strategy as you begin another postseason run?
Yeah, well, what we learned about these guys, and we fortunately we knew a lot about them last year because they were all juniors, kind of on their way to winning a championship last year, is that they love to compete. It's not very hard to get them to get excited about competition, and that might be in practice if we're going best on best, offense against defense. It might be if we're in the weight room during the summer having a push-up contest, or we're doing dumbbell carries down the practice field in the heat of July. We knew this team liked to compete, and we knew that they needed and would relish the opportunity to challenge themselves. And so looking down the schedule this year, we kind of stepped out a little bit and felt like this was a good opportunity for them to get outside the comfort zone, feel the challenge, and have to go prepare. And they've prepared every week really, really well. And their competitive nature and their willingness and desire to prepare, I think, has made a real difference in the ability to have success this year.
Coach, you talk about preparation. How tough is it, or how tough has preparation been this week, specifically when you consider y'all didn't have a game to prepare for? You got to bye this week as region champions. Kind of a little of an empty feeling when you get to Friday night and there's nothing to go out there for, I guess.
Well, again, it depends on the character of your team. And so, like I said, these guys love to compete. So it was very easy for us to say, okay, hey, we're going to do one-on-ones today, and it's them against them. And they want to be the guy that rises to that occasion as well. And we talked about, as we've gone through the year in these games that we played, our mindset needs to not be rise to the occasion. Our mindset needs to be the occasion, make the opponent rise to us. And we do that in practice. So they compete with each other every day. Everything that we do, not everything, but a lot of the periods that we have during practice are intentionally competitive. And we want to keep that competitive edge, but at the same time, be smart. So, the question was, how do we change our preparation? We don't change it a lot. We go a little less best on best and a little more reliance on our scout team, our look team, to give us a good look. And as they've grown throughout the year too, they've become a better look team. And, so we get some some good work done. This week, it's about getting healed up, getting back to just fundamentals and basics, and doing our basic route tree and our basic lineman, steps and stance and start and hat and hands, and defensively squeezing and spilling and fitting gaps and recognizing releases and that kind of. It's just all fundamental. And then next week, when we find out who we're playing against, we can get into more of the scheme and get back to that. And as you go through the playoffs, it's a little more scheme driven than fundamentals. At this point, fundamentals should be locked in. We don't ever get away from them fully, but we don't maximize our individual time as much as we do our scheme time.
Jeff Brothers, Nashville Christian football coach, joining us here on Main Street Sports today on Coach's Corner. And Jeff, I was a little fascinated a couple of weeks ago when Vanderbilt hosted Missouri and it's game day in town. And obviously we can't talk about your team without talking about your quarterback, Georgia commit Jared Curtis. We mentioned he's one of 2 semifinalists on your team for D2A Mr. Football. A lot of talk about him. He was mentioned on game day. A lot of folks got a lot of folks' attention, I guess, with that. And I just kind of chuckled because I'm not sure how many people realize that Jared's coach played at Vanderbilt. So, I mean, it wasn't like you just happened to be over there on that particular Saturday.
And didn't just go because it was a chance for Jared Curtis to go to Vanderbilt. I mean, I did play there. That was a big game. You mentioned it. Game day was in town. It was the first top 15 matchup at Vanderbilt since the 40s or whatever it was. And just a lot of excitement around a big-time college football game, and we're here in town and have an opportunity to go. Let's go. And that's really what it was and how it came about. And then everybody, it's an entertainment world, and so everybody had their opinion and wanted to get their thoughts on it and make whatever they wanted to make of it. Jared is paying attention to what's happening at Vanderbilt. They're the local team. I mean, if he lived in Athens, he'd be going to a lot of Georgia games. He still goes to a lot of Georgia games. He's going next week to the Texas game. It stirs up a lot, and it's fun to talk about, and there's a lot of time to fill with entertaining opinions and takes and things like that. And I'll tell you what was great about it, and this is another great thing about Jared, and what I appreciate about him so much is he enjoyed that for Nashville Christian School. He enjoyed that for the opportunity it gave his teammates. They mentioned Nashville Christian School on TV too. They didn't just mention Jared Curtis. And so for these players and these students and our faculty and our community to hear, oh my gosh, game day, Nate Bargassi just mentioned Nashville Christian School. That's a national, millions of people just heard about Nashville Christian School. And Jared appreciated that as much or more than he did hearing his own name mentioned and seeing all that. He's lived that event, for the last 4 years. But for him to see his teammates, in a sense, and his classmates receive recognition on a national stage like that, I think that meant more to him than all the other talk that was going on. And it's been a lot of fun just to kind of reflect on it. But it really is, it's entertainment, so you got to take it for what it is.
That said, though, again, you did play at Vanderbilt.
I did.
It wouldn't necessarily hurt your feelings if he flipped.
I want Jared to go where Jared Curtis wants to go. And I've said that to everybody that's asked. If he went to Vanderbilt, that'd be great. If he didn't go to Vanderbilt because he wanted to go to Georgia, and that's where he's committed, and he wants to go to Georgia, that's great. I want Jared to have Jared's life. This is not about me or my school or, what it might get. It's not going to gain me anything other than I get to watch him play for 3-4 more years in college and hopefully in the NFL someday. And I just want to follow his career, wherever that takes him. If that is down here on West End, the best thing about that is it's close by. But that's the end of that. I mean, yeah, I'm a Vanderbilt guy. I love what they're doing. Look, we need to talk about them. I mean, Clark's doing a great job. Tim Beck's doing an unbelievable job with Diego. Diego's doing a great job. All the players around him are responding to his leadership, and there's a belief there and a trust in the system there that's contagious. And in a lot of ways, it reflects what we've done here at Nashville Christian. To be Nashville Christian in Nashville, Tennessee, with the other private schools that have a more honestly national brand, and then we take on those schools, and then we beat those schools, and then all of a sudden we're the little engine that could. And so it's a familiar story, and it's fun to watch it happen. At that level with Clark and those guys as well.
Let me ask you this, Jeff. Having played there when you did, could you have ever seen this?
Yeah, I mean, we had some good teams then. Remember, Morris? We were kind of knocking on the door of some fun things there then. Played with some really, really good football players. Played for some good coaches. It was we didn't quite get it done. And there's a lot of reasons that you can go into why it didn't happen. But the fact that we were close kind of gave us that, and I think a lot of guys that have played at Vanderbilt over the years are like, God, if we just could get that one wind, gust of wind in the sail. And I think with Clark and the way he's done the program and set the program up, and the people he's brought in to be his assistants, and then the players they've been able to go get, I think they've done a great job of using the portal. They haven't just wholesale changed the roster, but they've got a roster of guys they've developed, which is something that doesn't happen in college very much anymore, as a developmental program. And they've supplemented them with some key pieces, and you're taking a risk of those key pieces. And when they work out, great things happen. And then you have an unselfish commitment to a common goal. And I went over there for a practice and just listening to Clark talk to those guys. It's really exciting to see the brotherhood that they truly have, because right now is a special time and a precious time, because right now it's still them against the world. Now, once he's established it and they become a winning program over and over again, and it becomes a consistent thing, then it takes on a new level of challenge, which is how high can you climb and how long can you stay there? And right now it's the fun of the excitement of sort of the new look.
Jeff, you kind of are loosely speaking about your own team here in terms of maintaining that consistency. And I'm curious, obviously winning it all is the goal, going undefeated, would be great. But I'm curious, as a coach and as kind of a real mentor, what are you looking forward to most about these next couple of weeks with that massive senior class that you have?
Yeah, well, just to mention consistency, I've been very blessed is the word that's overused these days, but I really believe I'm a man of faith, and I really believe God has blessed me and my family to put us in this place at such a time as this, to be around these people in this administration that really wanted to do the right things and put people in the right places for the school to be what's created to be. And we've had success, and it's been consistent, and that's been the hard work of a whole lot of people. And we've been to the semifinals or the finals of the state football playoffs 12 out of the last 13 years. The last time we didn't make at least the semifinal round was 2016, which was the year after we won our first championship. And that consistency, I think, is attractive to families who are like, again, we're still very much a developmental program. And I think, high school football is still kind of that way, even though some things are changing right now. But our kids have grown up here. I mentioned that group picture of this senior class that when they were in middle school, 6th and 7th grade, they grew up knowing Nashville Christian football success. And so they wanted to be a part of that and participate in that and sort of drink from that well. And so they were watching our guys. That's the benefit of a K-12 campus. They were watching those guys in front of them that were seniors and juniors at that time, winning championships and going to semifinals and all. And they were like, okay, well, that's what I want to do too. So what are they doing, and what do I need to do to continue that success? And I think consistency of the coach is important. Consistency of the administration is important, and consistency of the message and the methodology is important. And so that's built up to the opportunity to put together some really good seasons. And none of that happens without really good players and commitment from them and their families. And so, again, we've just been really blessed.
Not a trick question, I promise, but who maybe needs to have a big postseason in your mind, or who would you like to see have a big postseason individually that could really maybe take you guys to an even higher level thus far?
Well, I mean, you mentioned the two guys that are the Mr. Football finalists. So we certainly need Jared to be Jared and TJ to be TJ. And that's a great combination, because Jared can do it through the air and on the ground with his feet. But then TJ, as a powerful speed, back in our system, adds another dimension that people have to defend. So who needs to do the best job in the postseason? Probably the coaches need to get out of the way and let the players play. That would be the number one thing. I need to let go of the reins a little bit and let the horses run a little. And, if I had to pick individuals on the team, I think our defensive ends have been really key to our success this year. Our 5 techniques, Michael Hoskins and Colt McClary. The teams that we're playing potentially in the next couple of rounds have some quarterbacks that are a little mobile, and potentially some option type games, definitely some pass rush opportunities that we need to keep guys in the pocket and force them to step up into pressure. And so those defensive ends playing the run, rushing the passer, sometimes dropping into coverage, we ask a lot of those two guys. And if Colt and Michael have good postseason production, then we're going to be in a pretty good place.
Jeff Brothers, former All-SEC performer at Vanderbilt, current Nashville Christian football coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports today. Jeff, appreciate you taking some time with us, man, and enjoy your Friday night, and good luck here over the next few weeks.
might be driving to Jackson to scout a little bit. So go down to Casey Jones, get me some cornbread.
There you go.
And cobbler, and go watch a football game. That sounds like a good Friday night to me.
That does sound like a pretty good football Friday night. Stay dry.
Yeah, that'll be the key.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for what you do.
All right. Before we get out of here, let's give you our weekly awards. Let's start with our Custom Stone Handlers In2Win Life Team of the Week. Besides the military, there's no greater team building experience than athletics. Custom Stone Handlers invites you to get in the game. Our In2Win Life Team of the Week is the Columbia Central Lions football team. Went down to Tullahoma last weekend, got down by 2 touchdowns in the second half, came back for a 28-20 victory that sealed a Region 4 5A championship for the Lions, their first league championship since 2012. Central goes into the playoffs with a 6-3 mark, and they open playoff action here in a couple of hours at Lindsey Nelson Stadium against visiting East Hamilton. The Columbia Central Lions, our Custom Stone Handlers In2Win Life Team of the Week. Our Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia Athlete of the Week is Battle Creek sophomore receiver sophomore Stanley Williams. 13 catches for 193 yards and 5 touchdowns. Also an 89-yard kickoff return for the Grizzlies in their 43-41 season-ending victory over Hickman County last week. Huge performance from the young man. And he's been doing stuff like that all year, just not necessarily to that degree. But Stanley Williams, Battle Creek sophomore, our TOA of Columbia Athlete of the Week. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to the Columbia Central Lions, and good luck to both those teams later tonight in playoff action. Let's take our final break here on Throwback Thursday on Main Street Sports Today. Come back, get into the grab bag. Stay tuned.
The winning just got closer. All new Sportsbook, the latest gaming machines, live horse racing, and more. The Mid Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
Winning just got closer.
Being in Tennessee, we wanted to try to keep it as local as possible, so we have an entire section of our menu that is just dedicated to local whiskeys like Uncle Nearest, Jack Daniels, of course, George Dickel, Nelson Brothers, Greenbrier whiskey, and all of our taps are all local. From 2 o'clock until midnight, we've got food every day for you guys. A good handful of appetizers, some entrees, and a couple salads and things like that. My name is Ethan Kanata. Please come down and see us at the Pick Lobby Bar here at the Omni in Nashville.
There's a line that links us all. Most of the time, we don't even think about it, but it's everywhere. Illuminating our neighborhoods, empowering our businesses, and helping us to recharge. Whether it comes from our grids, the sun, or a kind heart, we believe in the power of good energy. And as your family and region continue to grow, you can trust that we'll always be there for you. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
It's the final segment of Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. The Predators return to home ice this evening, taking on visiting Philadelphia. Second time in a week they've seen the Flyers after going up north last week, hoping for a little bit better outcome this time around, hoping for a little bit better outcome than they've had the last couple of outings. The Preds coming off back-to-back overtime losses, and the latest one was a little contentious. The Wild maybe scored, maybe not, who knows, to win 3-2, but the net came off its moorings, I guess. I'm not sure what you call what holds the goal in place, but
yeah, you got it.
Okay, good.
You're a hockey guy.
Yeah, there we go. But I mean, if you've not seen the video of it, I wish we'd had it queued up because they were hot, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, two teams that were desperate for wins, first and foremost, Nashville and Minnesota. You got the overtime forcing goal from Stamkos, a second to play practically, and then, ending in wild fashion. And then just for good measure, you had your old coach, your old girl versus your new girl, right? And John Hines and Burnett going at each other. I mean, they looked like they were ready to square off outside the Excel Center right when the game ended there. And, it added a little drama for two teams that are kind of toiling toward the bottom of the Western Conference standings. Added a little extra flair, if nothing else. Kudos to Stamkos for getting them there. Would have been nice to see Nashville get it done. And realistically, probably the right call. As I'm gonna whisper that as we're in the Nashville area here. But be that as it may, maybe that's something that could get Nashville with a little energy versus the Broad Street Bullies trying to come in tonight.
They're going to need it. And again, losing consecutive games in overtime nature as Vancouver comes in and steals one in the final second of overtime on Monday night to win that one 5-4. So as Ann Kimmel and so many others refer to it, puck luck not going the Predators' way right now. They are 5-6 and 4 overtime losses to this point. And got to get your work done early. Philadelphia 7-5 and 1 coming into tonight. So again, a challenge for the Preds, but at least they'll be at home to face it. The top of the hour, here in about 10 minutes or so, the Lady Raiders of Middle Tennessee State go to the Arch City, taking on the Lady Billikens of St. Louis. MTSU coming off a season opening win against TSU on Monday. First all-new starting lineup that Rick Insell has debuted since his coaching tenure. He's never rolled out all 5 new starters. He's always had somebody coming back. So that's an interesting little side light there, I would think, for the Lady Raiders here, particularly in the early going. St. Louis coming in 0-1, a chance for MTSU to go on the road and pick up a win over an Atlantic 10 team here early on.
And the good news for those 5 ladies, they won on Monday. Otherwise, we'd be looking at a brand new starting 5 tonight.
Nice little tidbit out there on the socials. Since 2020, someone listed the top 10 winningest coaches in women's college basketball. And obviously Dawn Staley, Gina Auriemma, Kim Mulkey topping that list. Texas is Vic Schaefer coming in at number 4. But down there at number 10, just below Wes Moore of North Carolina State, Jeff Walls of Louisville, is the aforementioned Rick Insell. 141 wins since 2020 coming into the season. So I guess that's 142 now. Yeah. They're getting some stuff done with the women's basketball program over in Murfreesboro. And with some other things that are going on in Murfreesboro, it's probably a good thing. So go check out the Lady Raiders when you get a chance. WNBA talk. We were stunned. Well, I was stunned. Wade, I think you were stunned as well when Sandy Brondello and the New York Liberty went their separate ways. Didn't expect her to be out of work for very long. Well, she was named earlier this week as the first coach of the expansion Toronto Tempo. Nice gig.
Yeah, and immediately when I see this, I think, all right, intense coach, winning coach, brand new franchise, you kind of get to call the shots, right? And we saw some other openings that she might have flirted with and, potentially said, I'd rather not, including Dallas and Seattle and a couple other places. But with that being said, yeah, get a chance to kind of come in, stretch your legs, really kind of call the shots, maybe ascend into some pure leadership roles outside of coaching, gobble up a little bit of those responsibilities as well, and see how they do. We saw, obviously, Golden State have success in their first season last year. So this is, if you can remotely duplicate what they did, doesn't seem like that bad of a move.
This is the place I wanted to be, to build a team from the ground up that really excited me. And you're doing it in Toronto, which is from all indications, I've never been, unfortunately, but one of the great cities in North America. Should be a lot of fun. So she gets that gig not long after Jose Fernandez, formerly of South Florida, takes the gig at Dallas. So all of the openings in the WNBA have been filled with the exception of the New York Liberty. Kind of ironic, I would think.
Yeah, that sounds like just like the other franchise in New York. They fired a guy without really having a true plan in place, fired a gal in this case, and we'll see what happens.
Meanwhile, the WNBA owners, league, and players are continuing talks regarding a collective bargaining agreement, and it's a slow go, to say the least. The hangups are many, I guess, and hopefully they can get all that taken care of, because with all the momentum that this league has right now, the last thing you want is a work stoppage.
Yeah, keep the good vibes rolling, which obviously caters toward the potential requests, demands, etc., from the labor union, the players in this situation. So, chance for maybe some extra bargaining power than you might normally have in previous seasons.
Yeah. Meanwhile, do you know anything about this Project B? Wait, this new basketball league that's supposed to get started up next fall in Europe and Asia? I'm just hearing. I've started hearing that phrase here over the last few days, I guess, and maybe it's because Anika Ugwumike has signed with them. Latest professional women's basketball league.
Hey, I could get down with some European, trips. Give me a free trip to Asia. I'm in on this. I'll sign up for the Main Street Beat for that right now.
There we go. They're going to have 6 teams, 11 player rosters for each, and the idea is that they will get larger salaries than those currently offered by the WNBA and higher than those at Unrivaled. Now I thought that the draw of a lot of these recent leagues was that these ladies could, pursue them domestically. I thought we were trying to, avoid having to go overseas, but maybe, if the money's over there, maybe it's not so bad. I don't know. But,
Yeah, and I'm just wondering how this is different than your other, La Liga, Liga. I'm curious how that is different than those leagues.
Yeah. And I don't know a whole lot about it. Hadn't heard a whole lot about it until, again, just here in the last little bit. Agwumike is the first player to sign with the league, and apparently there's going to be equity in the league to go with those player contracts for the 66 players that would be involved. So there's a little carrot there, I guess. Interesting stuff for sure. Finally, Eric Spoelstra's home was destroyed by fire early this morning down in the Miami area. The coach of the Miami Heat lost his house. Can't imagine going through something like that.
No.
And obviously there's an investigation. They don't know what caused it or didn't know earlier today, but 20 units were dispatched to no avail. He was flying home from a Wednesday night game in Denver. So I guess this was, early this morning. Fire was called in around 4:30, about a half hour before they landed. So this is what he came home to.
Oof.
Yeah. That is going to do it for Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We'll see y'all at 2 tomorrow.